Recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Crenshaw, for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for letting me catch my breath a little bit. Thank you all for being here. I'm disappointed that the new CEO is not here. It shows a severe lack of courage, not showing up to this committee and answering some simple questions about political bias for what is an extremely important organization, a taxpayer-funded organization that prides itself supposedly on unbiased news reporting, but that's just not what we've seen from NPR in recent years, and I'm happy to let our witnesses comment on that here in a second. But it's been observed pretty accurately that NPR has been used as a tool to protect Hunter Biden, refusing to publish stories about Mr. Biden and his laptop. NPR's managing editor even claimed that it wasn't a real story, but simply a distraction. If that wasn't enough, they pushed pro-Chinese Communist Party propaganda onto their listeners, going so far as to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the communist takeover of China, sending one of their own reporters to Beijing to praise the CCP, I guess to get in their good favor. I don't know what their excuse would be for that. And all while taking taxpayer dollars. And so there's obviously a need for improvement in the culture and acknowledgement that there is bias in this newsroom, and yet the new CEO was just hired has dreams of sampling baklava with Kamala Harris and called former President Trump a deranged racist sociopath. So that's not unbiased. Catherine Mayer informed us she would not be testifying today. I guess she'd want to answer these questions. So, Mr. Graham, if I may start with you, you've collected a pretty impressive assortment of NPR's failures and failures to have unbiased reporting. Give us your thoughts on that, and is Ms. Mayer a good fit to change course?
Oh, I don't think there's any intention to change course. I think that's why she was selected. It would be interesting to hear her try to explain, what it is that they're trying to do. Because when we listen to this radio network on a regular basis, it's quite clear. You can understand why the Democrats don't want to have a hearing about this. It works very, very well for them, right? You can understand why the gentleman from Free Press has to say he's not here to represent public broadcasting, but they are very closely affiliated and fight for the funding together. Obviously Democrats like the system exactly as it is right now.
Yeah.
And so the very least we can do is, yes, have the CEO in and try to explain who in there is doing anything to suggest maybe we should have a more balanced set of interviews.
Yeah.
Right? Let's have a more balanced set of journalists. You won't see anybody from Fox News on NPR.
No. And you would think that's what the whole point. If you're going to do unbiased media, then it has to be unbiased. Biased media is okay. Just admit it, though. MSNBC does not try to claim that it's unbiased. I don't even think Fox tries to claim it's unbiased anymore. It's just not, right? We've had biased media in this country since our founding. But if you're going to be a taxpayer-funded media company, you actually have to adhere to the principles of unbiased news broadcasting, or say the quiet part out loud. And maybe that's the benefit of the new CEO. She has said the quiet part out loud pretty clearly. And so there can be no question about what direction NPR is headed, and it can be simply written off. And maybe we should look at ways to defund it. How would we in Congress perhaps some suggestions on how we would change course in NPR? Anybody want to take that via funding mechanisms?
So our suggestion is that a box be added to the tax return for individuals to check, like for the federal elections fund, that makes it a voluntary contribution. That would still be a huge favor to NPR because you'd be giving them free fundraising appeals, but you would not be forcing working and middle-class taxpayers to fund programming that caters to affluent elite types. And I just also wanted to mention, Congressman, that my sister and her family moved to your district last year, and I think they're watching us today, so.
Very lucky, very lucky. It's great. Hope they didn't flood. We had a lot of rain this weekend that we're working on. So anyway, appreciate y'all being here. I look forward to hopefully engaging with the new CEO of NPR. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for bringing this topic to light. It's an important one. People have to know what's real and what isn't, what's opinion and what is news. And again, it's okay to have opinion. And I think the main downfall of our national discussions in the last 20, 30 years have been the inability to distinguish between what is editorializing, what is opinion newsmaking, and what is actual unbiased news. Making actual unbiased news is hard. It was supposed to be why we had something like NPR, was to create that. And because there's not really a market for it, so it makes sense that it would have to be taxpayer funded, but then it actually has to be that, unbiased. I appreciate you, and I yield back.